very good evening to all of you present here. I'm Shraddha. I'll be the host for this specific session, and we are thrilled to have with us a global icon, a very great actress, voice, a fierce vocalist for human change, human rights, and a true creative force with us, Celina Jaitley.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us today. And as we all are very interested in your journey, at the first part of the interview, I'll ask you about that. Your journey began incredibly young. Like, you started very young, growing up in a disciplined army household. You moved across India, began modeling in your mid teens. Simultaneously, you were also leading a sales team at a command cell phone network in early mobile revolution during in our nation. So, how did those formative experiences shape your confidence and resilience? And when did you realize that this is the point that I am going to start my way towards my passion, towards the pageantry, towards Miss India and global cinema?
Thank you so much. You know, I was a typical third generation, fourth generation Fauji kid. I grew up in really, really beautiful, wonderful hill stations all across Uttarakhand and Himachal and Arunachal Pradesh. And life for me was beautiful, but it was also very rugged and not so easy. I did not always have access to very good schooling systems because of the nature of my father's job. He was an infantry officer. And all my education came mostly from my parents at home. And my parents always inculcated this in me that you have to become the best version of yourself, whether you're in school, whether you're not in school, whether your school has a roof. Sometimes in Kendra Vidyalaya in Uttarakhand, in Banbasa, for example, our school didn't even have a roof. Sometimes we didn't have teachers. So my father always said, there's still a learning experience. You're getting great food at home. You're getting parents who are teaching you. So make the most of your life. And that's why when I was in school, I was modeling. I was also working part-time. I got an opportunity to work in a sales team. And somehow by the end of the year, I started heading the sales team. I don't know how. And I was working with a cell phone network when cell phones had come newly into India. And that was the first time I got out of an army jonga and I went straight into a Kolkata tram. And I was going to Bada Bazaar in Kolkata, trying to convince a sari trader to buy a Nokia phone which was as big as my shoe. So that's how I started my corporate journey, if you will. And it was brilliant because I would call my father and I would cry, and my father would say, no, you need to learn this. You need to get out of the cantonment and go out into the world and make something of yourself. I didn't know where I was heading, but I knew I was heading somewhere. Because you know what? You have to, no matter what the circumstances are, I truly believe that you need to soak in everything like a sponge. And I did that. That's what my father said to me always, my late father. And I did that. And then, modeling was going on simultaneously. And I think every little thing, either that I learned in sales or I learned in marketing or I learned as a student preparing for AFMC or as a model, led me in a direction where I could find my maximum potential. And then I went on to win Miss India.
That's right.
And runner-up at Miss Universe. And I think it's the resilience. Resilience is what takes you through everything. And you owe that to yourself.
Very true, very true. As you just mentioned, your journey began in a very high-profile pageantry and cinema. So environments which were driven heavily by visuals. Yes. So looking back, how did those early days shape your understanding of how a powerful image or a narrative can captivate a massive audience?
See, being from a fashion background, I can say one thing, and I think I don't want to sound, diplomatic here. I'm going to be very frank and say that a beautiful narrative, a beautiful person, place, thing, situation, or a narrative can be a very powerful tool of persuasion. We all know that.
Right.
But when it comes to beauty is something that needs content. Beauty is something that needs emotional connection. Only then can someone, people can come for the beauty, but it is the deep connect, the emotional connection, which is going to make them stay. And therefore, beauty with a purpose, beauty with emotion, beauty with authenticity is what stays in the end. So it's a combination.
As you just mentioned, beauty revolves around content and beauty needs content. So the content nowadays revolves around the influencers. And the term influencer has not remained rigid throughout the years, it is changing. So, how do you describe your role in today's influencer era? Like, how do you place the rigid traditional media and the new modern influencer era?
Well, the legacy media has its, see, both the digital influencers and the legacy media. Let's begin with legacy media. Legacy media till now has immense credibility and phenomenal reach. But it's the digital creator which has the direct interaction with the audience. And I think that's a that engagement is a very, very powerful thing. And besides engagement, it's the important conversations that they can have directly with an audience, promote culture. The way they do it is in direct contact. And I think I consider myself as a bridge, which is best of both the worlds, connecting the two. At the end of the day, credibility and reach, along with authentic engagement, becomes a very powerful combination. And that's what I think I'm very good at doing.
Nice. So, moving on to the next question, I'm sure that everyone must be very invested and curious about your 4G background. You're a fourth generation 4G daughter, as you said. And how will you describe that? How is the 4G upbringing so different or is strict in discipline? And how has that upbringing led you towards your passion, towards your pageantry, and also the global cinema?
I think discipline is there definitely, but it's not the kind of disciplines that our dads or the mothers who were serving in the armed forces were put through. Ki roz subah ut ke pittu leke bhago. No, that was not the case. Discipline was more like, you have to be accountable. Accountability. That's the first word I learned. I think that I must have said accountability must be my first word before mommy and daddy. Because my parents always said this word to me. And that's what I learned. Accountability towards yourself, to remain fit, to study well, don't be number one, but study, learn well. My father always said, don't come first, but did you learn something? That's where he got angry. If you didn't learn well, he didn't want me to come first or first division, 99%. Nahi, he said, kuch seekha ki nahi seekha, So it was more about that, accountability towards yourself, towards your environment, towards your elders, and whatever your role is, wherever you are. And I think as a 4G kid, at one moment I'm studying in an international school, and the next moment I'm in a school where there are no teachers. So you learn to survive. You learn to make the most of any situation, any circumstance, no matter where you are. And also you learn a lot about life, because you do not know when your parent steps out of the house. Will they be back home saying, hello, my child, or will they be coming back wrapped up in the national flag? I've seen a completely happy family one evening, and the next day, everything within an instant over for the family. And this is what we grew up around. I've seen my father suffer from post-traumatic stress. He was just 20 years old when he fought in 1971 and was gravely injured and had permanent injuries all over his body and almost lost his leg. So I have seen that. I've witnessed that up close and personal. And what it taught me was resilience, ability to thrive in any situation and to move on, no matter what life, place, or situation throws your way.
Right. So it was a very brilliant answer, Celina. I'd like to focus now on a work that you've been doing for past many years now. You've been an incredibly vocal champion for women's rights. So in your experience, how can modern brands and publishers move past tokenism and create a genuine, impactful campaign and truly empower women in that area?
Mostly, and I'm saddened. It's not always so, but the whole thing about women's empowerment is all about a slogan or a campaign or a panel discussion around Women's Day or just one of these panel discussions which people hold. But what is real empowerment? Real empowerment, for example, I see the way Janvi has been brought up. Today, this very young woman stands here. She's so well educated. She knows what is happening. She's so hardworking. You send her a message at 6 o'clock in the morning, she'll answer you in 2 seconds back. And that's what I call raising an empowered daughter, empowered enough to lead an organization that empowers so many people. And for me, I think it is very important to consider that empowerment is education, empowerment is financial stability, empowerment is providing women the platform for them to reach their maximum potential, which I think our organization here does very well with so many outreach programs. I myself have been going through a very difficult situation. I don't know if some of you may be knowing about it, but 8 months ago, I left a very abusive marriage at 1 a.m. in the morning from Austria, and I flew to India with nothing. I bought a ticket on my credit card, and I flew to India. I came to fight for myself. I came to fight for my brother, who became a victim of an enforced disappearance in the Middle East. And I did not know where to start. But what did I have? What did I need at that point? I needed someone to tell me they believed in me. At that point, the most immediate thing that I needed was where the next paycheck is going to come from. I needed to know that my mediclaim was secure. And I guess that is what every woman needs. I needed to know my children were safe, you know. So when you empower a woman, remember, a woman is such, if she is empowered, she will empower an entire ecosystem around her. That's what being a woman is, because then she is capable of empowering her children, her sisters, the women around her. And in general, the entire village gets empowered without you even knowing that. To me, that is empowerment. So we need to step out of conference rooms. We need to take action that a woman receives the support on every level, whether it's financial, whether it is motivation, whether it's giving her a platform where she can actually discover what her strengths are. Thank you.
Beautifully, beautifully answered, Celina. As you mentioned, we see modern media often highlighting that the perfect balance is very necessary for working women, and we know that is a very complex dance. So, being an advocate yourself, a very great actress, a creative force yourself, how do you protect your personal space through all of this?
Honestly, for women, there's no such thing as perfect balance. I think all the women here will know that, because it is always, something is always happening, and there is no such thing as perfect balance. And I don't think you should even strive to reach perfect balance, because then you lose the motivation to go on full throttle through life. So, most importantly, your question was that how do I
Maintain your personal space.
how do
through
I
all of
maintain
this.
my personal space? I think I've reached a point in life where I think I'm not necessarily answerable to everyone. I give myself, because if I build myself first, only then I'll be able to build my children. I'll be able to build the people who work for me. I'll be able to build anyone who comes in contact with me. So now I know when to draw a line. And saying a positive no is one of the most uh, wonderful things that every human being can learn. Saying a positive no, drawing a line. And I do that more often now than I did before. It's not because I'm a star or I need my personal space. No, I need my personal growth. I need to work out. I need to have my time with my spiritualism. I need to read my book in my free time when I'm not working, because I'm a workaholic. I love to work 24 hours a day. But when it's my time, it is my time. That's time for my children. It's time not just to spend time, but to grow as a human being at every level.
Beautifully answered again, Celina. Thank you so much for that answer. Long before you became a UN equality champion, you were among the very few mainstream figures in India who were vocally supporting sexual minority rights, and that also led to backlash and personal threats for that matter. But what gave you the courage to support the fight to repeal Section 377, which was also internationally recognized by the UN and the Harvey Milk Foundation later on? What gave you the courage?
Actually, it was not the courage that made me stand up for this, it was circumstances. And coming from a fashion background, in my struggling days in Kolkata, there was a transgender makeup artist who was like a mother to me. And I have personally witnessed a person struggling to live their life the way we take our daily life for granted. He wanted to work, he wanted to get married, he wanted to have children, but he wanted to do it with the way it agrees with the way God has made him. After his passing, I was deeply, deeply impacted. And I said that I live my life, I take my life for granted. You know, I take being Celina for granted, being a woman for granted. I know I will meet someone, get married, I'll go for a job. But there is this massive community of people who have to strive for their everyday rights, which you and I take for granted on a daily basis. And that was just not agreeing with me. And when this person passed away, it impacted me deeply. And that's the time this NAS Foundation had filed a case for the repealing of Section 377. And I thought, how can I use my platform? People are sitting very comfortably in their influential positions, allowing and not even doing anything to support someone, just to live their lives just as they are. Give them an opportunity to work, to open, to have a insurance, to be open to their families. And that's the time I stood up. I didn't do it for any visibility. I did it because it was the right thing to do, because no one else was doing it. And it takes a lot of courage to stand up for something when no one, and honestly, I didn't get anything in return for that. All I got was threats. I had to spend a lot of money on my own security because always someone or the other was sending me death threats. I was living alone at that point, and living alone, doing something like this was not very easy for me. But I went on, and later on, many years down the line, Section 377 was repealed, and then it was reinstated again, and then it was repealed again. And it's funny, when you receive and allocate for something like this, I never saw it as a personal victory. I just saw one thing, that compassion, even though unpopular, is capable of global impact. That's what these awards taught me. That's about it.
Thank you for that answer, Celina. I would like to shift this interview to a different topic now, with an audience here today comprising the pillars of publishing and advertising. What is the core message or vision which you want to champion alongside them as we look towards the era, the new era of media consumption?
I'd just like to say one thing. Moving forward into the future, it is authenticity that is going to constantly and always, 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 always connect with people. And whatever content we create, good, bad, happy, horror, comedy, it should be authentic. It should come from a place of compassion and human connection. And there, I don't see any failing in that. And we, as media people, people from the media, we should also take responsibility for the role that we play and the impact that we have on the mentalities of people. I think the moment we start looking at our jobs from that point of view, we can have such better outreach across the diaspora, across the world.
Okay, so for the last question of this interview, looking back at the incredible magnitude of your humanitarian journey, what continues to inspire you to step into these pivotal roles? And what is your central vision for driving sustainable, empathetic, global change moving forward?
I think it's very simple. You can't change the entire world in one day, but whatever you do, wherever you are, you can use your position to do your bit. And one day someone will see you and do their bit. and someone will see them and do their bit. It's a chain reaction. It's like an atomic bomb. It's bound to have an impact. And that's how I see my position, whereas doing the kind of impact people expect me to work. And the thing is, with my background, I can only say that I've gathered a lot of experience. And there is nothing more valuable than positive experience. I think I have gathered so much positive experience in my life, whether it is as an actor, whether it's as a mother, whether it's as a change maker, whether it's as an activist. And I think this experience can be used to magnify and have a massive outreach and empower people who are like me or would like to be like me to do their best for themselves, for their ecosystems, and for their communities. Thank you.
Truly very inspiring thought there, Celina. What a profound note to end on. Thank you for your grace, for your brave answers, and for being such an inspiration for all of us here today. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for Celina
Thank you so
Jaitley.
much. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you.
देश विदेशातील प्रत्येक घडामोडींचे लाईव्ह अपडेट मिळवण्यासाठी आता साम टीव्हीच्या सर्व सोशल मीडिया प्लॅटफॉर्मला लाईक, फॉलो आणि सबस्क्राईब करा. तसंच सर्व नोटिफिकेशनसाठी बेल आयकॉन प्रेस करायला विसरू नका.